And the first thing I have to say is that I don't have anything to say, because everything is said already. It was said by Bruno, it was said by George, and it was said by Alex. But what happened here when a poor surgeon, know nothing of computers, tried to see what means preoperative planning with the new softwares? So what we were doing, we had an X-ray, and then we had a template, and we are putting the template, and then we said, this has nothing to do with the reality in surgery, and stop doing them. And then we start having these CT scans and realize that X-rays, at least in the shoulder, told nothing about what we are going to find in surgery. And then we had the CT scans. But these images, the two-dimensional images, was quite ununderstandable. And then came light, all these softwares that could transform the two-dimensional images to three-dimensional images, and then we could have the scapula, and then we could have the implants, and then we could start planning. Oh, perfect. Amazing. So all the companies now have, most of them have 3D preoperative systems. But if you upload the DICOM files, you have to wait for 5 to 6 days for the first plan that you would have to revise. And this is too difficult, it's too much, at least in our reality here. So what we could do? Okay, we bought a program, a software program, and this software could, we could input any implants, and so now we were free. We could use any type of total arthroplasty, or we could do also planning for fractures and for all this, all that we were facing in the operating theater. And this was something that said, oh, what a nice solution to the problems. And then we had better ability now to have a motion stimulation. We could calculate the range of motion, but not the range of motion of the shoulder. It was the range of motion of the scapulothoracic motion, and only this. And we have to remember that. And then we could combine all this planning with PSI, or with navigation systems, or with mixed reality system. At least as soon this would be available. So we start planning and doing anything we could do in virtual reality. And then we start realizing that what we believed that it is absolute accurate, it was not absolute accurate. So we made the planning, and then we put the same DICOM files to another software and from a company, and then the reply was different. And it was not different where they put the implants. It was different, the calculations of the version of the inclination, because these calculations were made with an error, which we have to be able to understand that when we say that this is the center of the glenoid, this is something that can be here, or can be here, or can be here. And if we say that this is the surface of the glenoid, this is the surface that gets most of the glenoid. But still, it can be 2, 3, 5 degrees different, and this means that what we calculate in numbers is not absolute. That's what we were realizing slowly. So, to get and to see that, yes, all this planning is very important. It gives you a sense of safety. It gives you a new understanding of what we are going to face in the surgery, but it is not the absolute truth. And then we try to reproduce this by eyeballing, using our imagination, as we would do with a standard operation without preoperative planning, but still we had the images in our mind, or we could 3D print patient-specific instrumentation, or we could use navigation, or we could use mixed reality systems, bring what we calculated next to us into what we planned next to us into the operating theater. Fine, and we start using a navigation system, and this navigation system was an electromagnetic navigation system, we say that it did not increase the operating time, but the reality is that it increased a little the operating time. It's not only the time of the operation, that you have to have all the instrumentation into the operating theater, put them in place, get them ready for use, and all this was extra time. And the markers, the reflective markers, optical systems, are very good, but they are cumbersome, they are huge, and they take place into the operating theater. And the electromagnetic sensors, they are very sensitive to ferromagnetic instruments. So we had to use non-ferromagnetic instruments, change our instrumentation during the operation. But still, this is very interesting, it increased our ability to be more accurate, even just by preoperative planning. Just by having done the operation before the operation, even if not so accurate what we were doing and what we were calculating, it was amazing the sense of safety that we got into the operating theater. So these are pros and cons of navigation systems, and then patient-specific instruments. Perfect patient-specific instruments. What a nice solution. But from the time you had the preoperative plan till you have the instruments in the operating theater, it is something like 4 to 5 weeks. And we had to wait for them. First. Second, if you took out osteophytes, if something happened during the operation, then the model and the real glenoid were not the same anymore, and these instruments were rather useless. But still, you had preoperative planned, and still you were more safe, even if you could not use them. So, what is saying, and what Bruno said before, start preoperative planning. Even if it's not stereo, if it's not perfect, if it has a lot of problems, even if it takes time, it's what is going to make you safer and so more accurate and more insistent and better surgeon at the end. And mixed reality, start trying to use it. For the moment, what we say is that the systems that we use were very heavy, and after a while you had problems with the neck, but I hope that the next generation is going to solve this problem. But you can have remote surgical assistance with them. And then we get into this world of visual, augmented, mixed reality, and we stay frightened on what we are going to face. But if we know, as Bruno said, what is this and what can be done, then it can be used in our advantage. Otherwise, it's going to be used to the advantage of someone else who understands better what is these things. At the end, we are going this way and we can't go back. And it's real, and it's correct that by preoperative planning, we increase our understanding of what we have to face. I remember the time that I had an X-ray and I say, okay, I'm going to do a total shoulder replacement. And then I see these X-rays that are shown and take measures on them, and I say, what radiological department has sent these perfect X-rays? Because the X-rays that we had were, it was impossible to find any line on them. And so this is the new revolution. This is coming, and we must be prepared and must be in this train. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for being here with us. And this talk was just the difficulties that we are facing when we are getting into this world. Thank you.